Hey everyone, this is Eric coming from Kansas again. Hope you're doing well. So this video is going to be an overview of the backup power off-grid solar system that we've got at our place. I'm out here so that you can kind of see what we got at our house here. Most of it you can see from the back, but hopefully you can kind of see the solar panels up here on the flat roof. That I'm going to go over in the next bit here, and then later on we'll go some other parts of the system. Got some boxes down here inside the house, and then before that I'll show you the wiring, some of the wiring I've got inside the attic from the solar panels, and then down in the basement down here is where I've got all the other power equipment. So and I want to mention the only reason I call it off-grid, it is connected to the grid, but the only reason it's connected to the grid is so I can charge the batteries. The inverter we've got is an off-grid inverter, and it does not interact with the grid, which is what I wanted. And so it's completely off-grid in that sense, but we do use grid power to charge the batteries when it's available. So, you know, this is kind of a in-progress thing, and we're not, you know, I'd like to have this whole roof covered. It'd be nice, but you know, funds are not unlimited, and just doing what we can with what we got. And so here we go. So first thing I'll show you is the solar panels, and then I'll show you some stuff outside, the wiring in the attic, and then we'll go through the power center down in the basement. So here we go. Okay, folks. So up here we've got our solar panels. So I'll start with the oldest ones first. We've got 5 in series right here, 24 volt nominal panel. The rest of them here are 12 volt nominal panels, and they're all 5 unwired in series. These smaller ones are all about 130 watts each. This one over here is a monocrystalline panel, I'm pretty sure of. This one might be as well. But anyway, the rest of them are polycrystalline. Here we've got 3 24 volt nominal panels, and they're all 270 watt nominal each. And then over here we've got 6 100 watt panels. They're all 12 volt nominal panels each, and that's what we got. So we got a string of 6 here that's wired in parallel with a string of 3 here, and then wired in parallel with a string of 5 here. These 5 and these 6 over here are on the same charge controller. These 3 are on another charge controller. And then from there we've got our combiner boxes. We've got 2 sets over here. We've got 2 sets of panels wired to this one set wired to this one, and then they combine in here, and they go down underneath this roof, and they run all the way you know, down there, and then down in the basement, which is on the other side of the house over there. So that's what we got for solar panels up here. So what I forgot to mention was the total wattage, rated wattage of these panels. So we got about 800 over here for the old ones. These are about 810, and we got 600 right here. So 800 plus 800 is 1600, and then 1600 plus another 600 is 2200 watts approximate rated power in the summertime. This again, in a previous video I mentioned this roof faces northeasterly essentially, so it's not the best roof, but it's not viewable from the street, so that's a benefit. And it's a nice flat roof to work with. And so in the summertime, when the sun's, you know, at its peak, I'm expecting about 1500 or 1600 watts. Right now it's getting kind of close to that, but as the summer heats up, panel performance degrades a little bit. So that's what I'm expecting in the summertime. And we'll move down to the where the solar comes into the house. All right, folks, now we are in the attic on the side of the house that's the farthest from the junction box of the solar panels, if that makes sense. So this is the opening in our attic, and for reference, you can see that garage door down there next to those bicycles. That's the garage door you may have seen in the back of the house. But anyway, this is our attic access, and built myself a ladder here, and grab my flashlight here. So just want to show you some of this wiring up here. So you can see that white PVC conduit coming out right there. That goes basically the whole length of our upper part of the roof that you saw outside. Goes all the way to the other end of the attic, way down there, and comes out the other side of the house on the upper level. So that solar panel wiring comes out of those junction boxes and comes in here, runs all the way back to this side through that some PVC conduit. I think it's like 3 or 4 10-foot runs. It comes out of that 45-degree elbow up there, and then got a little gap right there, and then got some just PVC pipe that guides it down that roof joist there. I got some extra right there hanging out in case I need to pull extra at some point. Alright, so now I moved that board out of the way. You can see the rest of this. There's that extra that I showed you a little bit farther away. It comes from the upper attic up there. Runs down here, and then runs into the soffit down there, if you can see that. Maybe get a little better light on it there. Yeah, I think that's better. So then it comes out the soffit and goes down DC solar panel junction box. Alright folks, I wanted to go ahead and show you this. This is the other end of the house with a junction box. So the solar panel junction box is right up above this roof board here. Yeah, but the wiring for the solar panels comes out right here in this hole right there, if you can see that. Comes into this first PVC pipe and runs all the way down here. Let me get a better light. Yep, all the way down there to the other end where I was first standing at. And then I also forgot, I wanted to show you, you see a green wire there. That's the ground wire. So that comes out of that hole as well and goes down to a PVC pipe right there, if you can see that. And then that goes down this wall right here where the bedroom is at, and then it extends across the ceiling of our bedroom downstairs. Okay, now I'm off the ladder I was on, and just showing you ground wire. PVC tube runs to the soffit right over there, and that runs down to an outside ground wire that I'll show you also in this video. So the ground wire for the solar panels comes out of the attic right here, and you can see the panel with the junction boxes for the solar panels up there on the top of the roof. So ground wire comes from up there, runs to the attic, comes out here, goes down this conduit, goes into the ground, and then got my ground rod in this little pipe, short pipe right here with a cap on it, and that's the ground wire for the solar panels. And to give you some reference, that hill back there in our backyard was where I was standing when I started this video. So hope that helps in understanding that that ground wire. Okay, so that ladder I just climbed up, it's solar panel junction boxes right up there above that roof board. I had to make this other ladder as well to climb up on top of here and do that work. And there's the ground wire I just showed you. And way back over here is looking the other direction of what I showed you a few minutes ago. So this is all up in the attic, And yes, I spent many hours up here working on this wiring and making sure it looked halfway decent and wasn't going to get damaged and all that good stuff. So a lot of fun working on an attic. Make sure you wear this is a place where you actually want to wear masks and protect yourself from dust and all that good stuff. So now we'll go outside, look at the junction boxes. Okay, folks, what we have here is the solar panel DC disconnect and the AC side disconnect on the outside of the house. So the solar panel wires come up from the roof up there, the flat roof, inside the attic, and they run inside here and then down into this roof right here, and then down through this conduit right here inside the house. This guy got two sets of 10 gauge positive and negative wires come down through here into the Midnight Solar disconnect. You can see there, got it labeled, and off and on, just in case there's a fire they can come and shut it off. And same thing for the AC disconnect. This disconnect is between the inverter and what it's powering in the house. So if there's a fire, they can come out here and just shut it off real quick. And then those connect down to the side of the house where those two go down into the basement, and I'll show you where those come in at. Alright, so we're down in the basement next to our main breaker box, which is the big gray thing right there. It's in every house, and where I built everything around. So what I want to start with first is where the solar power comes in. So the solar power comes in this conduit fitting right here and runs down this wire. This comes from the solar panel junction box that was outside that I showed you, the Midnight Solar one, and then it comes in here. You can see the inlets up there. It comes through the baseboard there and runs down this conduit right here behind this guy, runs right here, and then runs into this fitting right here into the bottom of the DC disconnect box. Also a Midnight Solar product. Those run into the charge controllers here, the two charge controllers from the solar panels, and they control the voltage obviously from the solar panels. Then those send power back into the DC disconnect box and charge the batteries down here. And I've got a set of 24 volt bank right here, 24 volt bank here, and a 24 volt bank here from a big battery. Later on I'll explain what this is, but not in this video. And also later on I'll do a video on this DC disconnect box. It's quite a mess in there. If you open it up, hard to tell what's going on. So that'll be for another video. From this DC disconnect box, from so the batteries, and then the batteries go back up through these boxes here. I got my positive bus bar here and my negative bus bar inside here. They come together in here and run up this big conduit. I think that's a 2-inch or 2.5-inch conduit, not sure. Back into here, and then that's the shunt that I use for my battery monitoring is in there, and then they all run, and then that battery power then gets fed into the inverter charger here that inverts the DC to AC, and that AC output, it comes through this conduit right here into this box. I got a couple of breakers here. One breaker is the main one that goes to the house. This other one powers this handy little outlet right here that I can use for whatever, charging phones, radios, all sorts of good stuff. It's turned off right now. So I have a 30 amp breaker coming out of here, and then I only have a 30 amp right now because I've only got some 10 gauge wire in some different parts here, so I don't want to overload that. So AC power from the inverter charger comes out of this breaker box, runs back through this conduit up here into this fitting, and then into a 120 volt AC junction box that I made here, and it's got a terminal block inside of there with all sorts of stuff going on that I'll also show you later on. In through there, and then it goes through this automatic transfer switch that I'll tell you about in a minute, down through here in this conduit, and it powers both this generator transfer switch box, and also it goes over here and powers this generator transfer switch box. And these generator transfer switch boxes are what I showed you in a previous video of they're connected into this main breaker box that was here when we bought the house. Got them wired in there and spliced into some the circuits that I've chosen to run the house with this battery backup system. And they're spliced. I say they're spliced in. They're connected per the instruction manuals on these boxes that they provide. So it's not some jerry-rig job, if that makes sense. So the next thing is, let's see, I went through all that stuff. Oh yeah. So the next thing is the generator input. And before I get there, I'm going to go back to the inverter charger. So this inverter charger, you may have seen in a previous video that I've got on just on this guy right here. So it's got the AC output right here, and it's also got, let's see, go back around here. It's also got two AC inputs. So this is the AC input from the breaker box. So that runs back over here to the main breaker box, and I've got a breaker inside here. It's located right here. You can see that label. Inside there's a 60 amp breaker. That wire goes over here to the inverter charger, and that's how the inverter charger is technically connected to the grid. It just pulls the AC power from the grid to charge the batteries. The second AC input, you can see right here, is coming from a generator. So you can use a generator to power it without having to do some different breaker switching. It's already got two AC inputs. So that comes from here. I ran it through this outlet box, through some conduit right here, comes up here, and it comes from this, again, this 120 volt AC junction box. And then you go up to here and it gets fed from this breaker box up here. Hard to see. I'll probably do all the generator stuff in another video, all the details about that. And then the generator feeds power from this conduit fitting up here. It's kind of hard to see in the video probably, but that comes from a plug box outside that you may have seen in a previous video where we had a power outage last year and I used that. And in this generator box, I can power either a house or I can send power to this inverter charger. And that's what this transfer switch is for. So generator comes from here, goes to the junction box, can either go to the generator input to the inverter charger, or it can go down into here into the automatic transfer switch and power the house directly with the generator. I haven't used that in quite a while, but that's what I designed this to be. So I could, if some problem ever developed with all this crazy stuff over here, I could just bypass it all and use a generator to power the house directly, i.e. through these generator transfer switches. So, the only other thing I wanted to mention down here is, so I have a ground wire for the solar panels that I showed you in previously in this video. I've also got a ground wire that's separate. This is grounded into the other side of our house. This is a ground wire for this whole power system, and it comes in right here and comes from right here. So here's the door to our garage here, and this is the garage door. It goes to the backyard patio. What I want to show you here is the ground wire for the power equipment down in the basement. Comes in this box. So right behind that box is the wall where I have all the power equipment mounted. So the ground wire comes in right there. Comes down this conduit that comes from the attic. It's run in the attic up there above the ceiling, and then I'll show you outside. It comes down this wall, goes in the ground behind this door. So now I'm outside this garage door on the side of the house. Ground wire comes down through this conduit into the ground, and got the ground rod right there underneath this white cap, and that's the ground wire for the power system in the basement. So that kind of rounds out our power system down here in the basement. The only other thing I wanted to mention besides the ground wire, sorry about that, is you probably noticed the whole mess of conduit here, flexible conduit. There's probably some people that may watch this video and say, well, you could have used a nice guttering system and got rid of all this mess, which you're right. But at the time, all this flexible metal conduit I already had, and just saving some money. I already had a bunch of wiring too, existing wiring from from this kind of stuff we had at our other house. So I already had a lot of existing infrastructure type equipment like that, and I just wanted to reuse it instead of throwing it away or not using it at all. And plus, I didn't have all the fancy tools you need to punch holes in electrical guttering and whatnot. So that's what I did, for better or for worse. But I wanted to make it look as professional as possible. All the wiring inside conduit, and make it look at least somewhat safe. Obviously, the only wiring I have in conduit is this wire right here that's the DC wire to the inverter charger. It's not really set up anyway to have conduit, but I did make sure I put some here so that this junction box wouldn't cut the insulation on that wiring over time. So anyway, a little side note there, but hope that makes sense on why the wiring looks the way it looks. Now we'll go upstairs to the control panel that I've got, where I've got the remote control for this. I've got a remote panel that shows what's going on with the charge controllers, and I've also got my battery monitor up there. Alright, so here's the control panel upstairs off of our kitchen. To give you a reference, the Midnight Solar exterior solar panel disconnect power junction box is on the other side of this wall right here, and then the garage is right here. So I'll give you some reference. So what we got here is the Samlex Evo RC control panel for the inverter charger downstairs. This right here is the battery monitor. Monitors the batteries, keeps track of the amp hours taken out and put back in. There's a handy, this is the Bluetooth version, the 712. That'll focus, 712 Smart, so it's got the Bluetooth emitting from it that'll connect to your phone and allow you to keep track on your phone as well, which is kind of nice. This guy right here is the remote meter for the solar charge controllers. It obviously keeps track of what's coming in from solar power. Right now it's nighttime, so there's nothing coming in. It's just showing the temperature down in the basement and the battery voltage for you. So I'll do another video on these items and other items that I've got individually, but wanted to give you an overview, and hope that makes sense. Alright, so that concludes the overview of our solar power backup power system. I hope you liked it. I'll be doing some more videos on these guys individually probably, and all other components as well, kind of like I've done already with a few things. But if you have any questions, if you want me to do talk about anything, any component that I've got here, or how I put together something or other in this video, please feel free to ask, and I'll be glad to oblige and let you know what I did and what I've got and why I did it. So with that, we'll see you around, and thanks for watching.